Conquest. I don't even get a real name.
Beware of an old man in a profession where men usually die young. Conquest is the embodiment of this philosophy. He isn't just a regular Viltrumite warrior. He's a force of destruction, a living weapon honed by centuries of bloodshed. And he does it all because of the love of the game. And Invincible Season 3 finale, we witness just how terrifying he truly is. But just how powerful is he? And how does he compare to Omni-Man and the other Viltrumites? Today, we're breaking down Conquest's insane strength, skill, and brutality to get a better understanding of who he is.
I am so lonely. All the other Viltrumites are scared of me.
So click that subscribe button and let's just dive in. Who is Conquest and just how old is he? I think that's where we need to start to get a better understanding of just how powerful he is. Looking at Conquest when he first arrived, he looks like an old man in his 70s or 80s. If we compare him to someone like Omni-Man, aka Nolan, who looks to be in his mid-40s, but we know Viltrumites age a lot slower than humans. And while the show never gave us an official age for Omni-Man, if we look towards the comics, Omni-Man is about 2,000 years old, and Conquest is way older than him. Conquest has fought in the Viltrumite Civil War, and he's been in countless various wars. And unlike Omni-Man, he loves destruction and combat. He's a pure war machine. He doesn't even have a name. His name is just Conquest. So if he's older than Omni-Man, he has to be at least twice Omni-Man's age, putting Conquest close to 5,000 years old. According to Cecil in the GDA, he's way stronger than Omni-Man, which would make Conquest the strongest Viltrumite we've seen on the show. And in the comics, he's the second strongest Viltrumite. And we see his strength in full display when he's fighting Mark. This version of Mark is at least 138% stronger than the version that fought Omni-Man at the end of season 1. Even though Mark is over 2 times stronger than he was before, Conquest ragdolled him throughout his fight, even worse than Nolan did. And I say it's worse than Nolan because Mark actually put up a fight. Even then, he was still no match for Conquest, and he would have died had Adam, Eve, and I helped him enjoy the fight. I want to shoot Mark some bail because even though Conquest was ragdolling him, Mark was getting some good hits in. Mark actually put up a fight, and Conquest thanked them because he said, in his own words, he was going all out. He wasn't holding back, and he thanked Mark. So that goes to show just how strong Conquest is. But it also shows how strong Mark has become, because Mark from the first season probably would have got one-shotted and killed by Conquest. And it's not just Conquest's physical strength, because we saw him dominate Mark, Oliver, and nothing can stop him. It's Conquest's durability. Conquest took a beating. Mark laid it on him. He actually let Mark get a bunch of free hits in, soaking in that damage, and even taking all of Mark's best shots. He still was strong enough to overpower Mark. It wasn't just Mark's physical beating, it was also Eve's matter manipulation that played a big factor in his loss, and that just showed us how durable Conquest was. During their fight, Eve changed the molecular surroundings of the air around Conquest, raised the air molecules, and tried to crush him. That wasn't enough. Eve incinerated his very skin, molecularly deconstructed his skin, and that wasn't enough. It took a combination of that as well as Mark's Viltrumite strength to eventually beat down and overcome Conquest. And even then, that wasn't enough to kill Conquest. That just goes to show how powerful he is. Mark bashing his head in, and Cecil still able to keep him alive, showing that he isn't just a regular Viltrumite, and he is worthy of being the second strongest Viltrumite in the Viltrum Empire. I mean, his name is Conquest. He has no other purpose but to conquer planets. When it comes to Viltrumites, only the upper echelon gets sent to conquer planets on their own. And just by the hierarchy of the Viltrumites, we know he's stronger than Nolan. Nolan was sent to conquer Earth by himself when they knew Earth had no threats. But the Viltrum Empire knew about Mark. Essa warned Mark they would send someone more powerful, more ruthless next time. That person was Conquest. Had they sent Endesa a second time, Mark was strong enough to take her down. Cecil and Donald talked about it earlier in the season when they said Mark is strong enough to take her down, but he was not strong enough to take down Conquest. And it's not just because of how strong he is or how durable, it's also because of his combat skills. Conquest, after fighting for thousands of years, is one of the most skilled combatants when it comes to the Viltrum Empire. We saw it throughout his fight with Mark as he was guiding Mark and telling Mark what worked, what didn't work. It comes from years of battle experience and his lust for combat. So he puts himself in all types of different scenarios looking for the perfect battle. He loves this shit. He lives for it. He reminds me of a Viltrumite version of Battle Beast if you think about it, because Battle Beast is only in it because of the love of the game. And when it comes to Conquest, he's only a part of the Viltrum Empire now because of the love of the game. It's not out of loyalty to Viltrum. He doesn't believe in their missions, but the sweet, sweet, sweet call of battle calls to his name. And that's what makes Conquest so dangerous. His love of the game, his use of psychological warfare. He goaded Mark. He gave Mark free hits. He even taunted Mark when it came to Adam Eve. Anything that could push a little bit more out of Mark, because he knew he completely overmatched Mark. But that was also his biggest mistake, because of his own hubris, because of his goading of Mark, and because of him dragging the battle on, looking for more, pushing more. He got jumped by Mark and Eve, but more specifically, he didn't know how powerful Adam Eve was. I don't think any Viltrumite has ever faced someone like Eve, which low-key is Mark's secret weapon, because had it not been for Eve incinerating his skin, like I said earlier, Mark would have totally lost that fight. But the thing about it is, Mark is getting stronger, and we know Conquest is going to be back, because at the end of the episode, Cecil kept Conquest alive. And let's be honest, whatever he's keeping Conquest in isn't strong enough to hold him down, because both Cecil and Donald talked about it, and they both agreed that Conquest is the strongest Viltrumite they've ever seen, and they don't even have anything to contain Mark just yet, and they think this is going to contain Conquest. Being an older Viltrumite with the healing factor that they have, I think Conquest is going to be back a lot faster than we think. And him and Mark may be ready for a round 2, which is going to be interesting because Mark is also growing in strength. And I think Mark is growing faster than any other Viltrumite, because comparing him to the earlier version of himself in the first season compared to now, that's a huge leap. So maybe by the time him and Conquest have another fight, it's going to be a real deal slugfest. And that is the barometer where we're going to judge Mark by. If Mark fights Conquest again in a one-on-one and he defeats him, that will make Mark stronger than Omni-Man, because we already established Conquest is stronger than Omni-Man. Conquest being the second strongest Viltrumite and the oldest Viltrumite alive with the most battle experience. But guys, that's it for this video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, peace.